trader who made $1 billion by fooling a bank. Welcome to my channel. AI Wealth Insights is a channel that informs, teaches and learns how artificial intelligence is changing how people work, create and make money online. My objective is to open the door to new ventures and how to achieve one's journey. Artificial intelligence, AI, is a tool that has become a global pathway practically for anyone to use to make money and earn an income. Share your feedback, click like, subscribe and comment. Thank you. It is a narrative of high-stakes deceit and the flaws in financial systems that may be exploited by those who have insider knowledge. The story of the trader who won $1 billion by tricking a bank is a tale of this. It frequently refers to instances of rogue trading or fraud, which are instances in which traders manipulate risk controls, fabricate records, or exploit insider information in order to execute deals that result in enormous personal gains while inflicting catastrophic losses for the institutions that are involved. These stories illustrate how a single person may do billions of dollars in harm to a bank, provided that they employ the appropriate combination of secrecy, leverage, and the exploitation of holes in oversight. Jérôme Kerviel at Société Générale and Nick Leeson at Barings Bank are two of the most notorious examples of such an incident. Both of these individuals cheated their employers, which ultimately led to their collapse and raised major issues about the regulations and controls that are in place within the financial industry. Example: Jérôme Kerviel and Société Générale. Jérôme Kerviel, a former trader at Société Générale, is the person who is responsible for one of the most infamous incidents of rogue trading in the history of the financial industry. This incident took place between the years 2005 and 2008. Throughout the course of this time period, Kerviel engaged in illicit trades by making use of his insider knowledge of the risk management measures that were deployed by the bank. It was possible for him to conceal the substantial risks that were associated with his transactions by evading the internal controls that were in place and by constructing phony hedging positions. This was achievable because he made use of both of these strategies. The majority of his financial holdings, which were mostly concentrated on European stock indices, were worth tens of billions of euros, and he made use of a substantial amount of leverage in order to raise the magnitude of his wages. It took a number of years before his fraudulent activities were brought to light, which allowed him to continue to increase his positions without being challenged. Audits that were performed on a regular basis did not reveal the full scope of the harm that had been done until January of 2008. The financial institution was left with a significant loss of 4.9 billion euros, which is comparable to $7 billion, as a consequence of the fact that it was required to unwind the deals in a market that was unpredictable. Kerviel was brought into custody, and during a subsequent trial, he was found guilty and sentenced to 5 years in prison, with 2 years of his sentence being suspended. Additionally, he was compelled to return the total amount, which was a sum that he would never be able to pay in such a reasonable manner. How he fooled the bank. Jérôme Kerviel's actions at Société Générale are often cited as a classic example of how a single trader, through exploiting internal systems, can manipulate a financial institution's processes and cause staggering losses. Kerviel, who worked as a junior trader, used his deep understanding of the bank's risk management systems to execute unauthorized trades while creating fake hedging positions, making it seem as though his positions were balanced and within approved risk limits. He engaged in highly speculative trading, placing massive bets on European stock markets with high leverage, far beyond the risk threshold set by the bank. His trades were hidden in plain sight, masked by fabricated documents and false reports, which went unnoticed due to lax oversight within the bank's risk management systems. The absence of proper monitoring and failure to identify the risks early allowed Kerviel's positions to grow exponentially, eventually resulting in a 4.9 billion euro loss when discovered in early 2008. While Kerviel did not personally gain from his fraudulent actions, since they ultimately led to a loss for the bank, his case highlights the potential consequences of poor internal controls, over-reliance on individual traders, and inadequate oversight in large financial institutions. The scandal serves as a powerful reminder of the systemic vulnerabilities in financial systems that can be exploited for personal gain or reckless risk-taking. Example: Nick Leeson and Barings Bank. Nicholas Leeson, a derivatives trader who worked at Barings Bank in the 1990s, became known for his role in bringing about the fall of the bank, which resulted in losses of $1.3 billion. Leeson's actions were responsible for the bank's failure. Through leveraged futures contracts that were connected to the Nikkei 225 index, Leeson participated in banned speculative trades and placed a considerable amount of wagers on the Japanese stock market. In particular, he used leveraged futures contracts. As the outcomes of his wagers started to go against him, he hid his growing losses in a secret error account, which allowed him to conceal the damage from the management of the bank from the beginning. As a result of the inadequate checks and control at Barings, he was able to operate with a significant amount of autonomy, which encompassed both the execution of his trades and the monitoring of those deals. A significant conflict of interest emerged as a consequence of this. The enormity of his losses was eventually discovered, but by that point, it was already too late, and Barings, an institution that had been in operation for 233 years, was forced to declare bankruptcy. As a result of the collapse, it became plainly evident that there is an immediate need for rigorous risk management, internal controls, and supervisory requirements for financial institutions. $1 billion gain. Many times when people talk about a trader who made a personal profit by fooling a bank, they are pointing to cases of fraud such as Ponzi schemes or insider trading to make their point. Ponzi schemes are a form of scam that is considered to be false. Under these kinds of conditions, individuals purposefully deceive financial institutions with the purpose of gaining a personal advantage for themselves or for their own benefit. Bernie Madoff, who was responsible for the Ponzi scheme that achieved the highest degree of success in the history of the world, is one of the most notorious examples of this type of fraud. He is also one of the most notorious individuals from this category. He was able to disguise the fraudulent character of his firm by using the monies from new investors to pay returns to previous investors. This allowed him to conceal the fact that his business was dishonest. As a direct result of this, he was successful in defrauding investors out of an estimated $65 billion. Martha Stewart is a further example of this phenomenon that may be observed around the world. Through the utilization of information that was not accessible to the general public, she was able to sell shares in in-cloned systems, which ultimately resulted in her generating a personal profit. Due to the fact that she engaged in insider trading, she was deemed to be guilty of the crime. It was not until much later that it was discovered that she had been involved in this behavior. For the objective of earning financial benefit, the burglars exploited internal systems or sensitive information in a number of instances. Their goal was to make a profit. This move was made in order to get a competitive edge because of the situation. There were numerous situations in which this resulted in significant judicial ramifications, in addition to a loss of public trust among traders and investors. These occurrences occurred on a number of different occasions. Could a single trader really fool a financial giant, turning their risky bets into a multi-billion-dollar disaster? Thanks for watching and subscribing, channel.